From South Carolina Public Radio, this is the South Carolina Lede. I'm your host, Gavin Jackson, and this episode was recorded on June 6, 2025, from South Carolina Public Radio Studios here in Columbia. On this episode of the Lede, state Democrats got a boost with a big special election House seat win. Lieutenant Governor Pam Evette continues to test the gubernatorial waters, and we look at some of the ramifications of the tariffs on businesses in our region, and a major economic development project is on ice. Lowercase ice, due to the mega bill. And more. We also have some mega news, the live leaf taping.
Oh, how you doing?
That's right. We will be in Aiken at Good Girl Brewing on June 12th. That is next Thursday, folks, at 6 p.m. with myself, producer A.T. Shire, reporter Mayan Schechter, and special guest, Senate Majority Leader Shane Massey. We're talking about the legislative session and so much more. So put that on your calendar. June 12th, 6 p.m., Good Girl Brewing in Aiken. Go to southcarolinapublicradio.org and hit that RSVP button so we know you are coming. It's free. We're aching to see you. Or aching break your heart. The Lede loves hearing from y'all. That's why we have our voicemail box set up at 803-563-7169. Let us know where you think we should do our live taping next. Hint, it's going to be in Rock Hill in September, but that's a long ways away. We still have plenty of other ideas. We want to hear from you. 803-563-7169. Let us know how your summer's going. Who do you think's going Top Chef? I personally don't care, but AT does. You'll be in our wind down section. It's a safe space. We won't make fun of you regardless of what you say. 803-563-7169. Tolls may apply. Democrats across the state and even the country are amped up over retaining a Democratic state House seat in a special election last Tuesday. State House District 50 in the Midlands near Bishopville and Sumter has always been a Democratic district. This is the classic lizard man district, folks. Now, when Wheeler stepped down just days into the legislative session, that set up this move for a special election in which just over 3,700 people voted. 2,600 of which went to Representative-elect Keyshawn Scott, who was a Bishopville City Councilman. Now, Scott narrowly won the primary on April 1st. I'm talking an 11-vote margin here. That was the close race. This was different because Scott blew it out by getting 71% of the vote to Republican William Oden's 29%. Again, this is a Democratic district. It was redrawn to be even stronger this way. While the vote margin has been called a landslide, understandably, it is, but it would still have been if he ran unopposed, as in the case in most solid Democrat and Republican districts in this state. And as his predecessor did last November. Wheeler didn't have any opposition. In fact, he hasn't really had any opposition before. But let's not let these pesky details get in the way of a good story, and don't tell the Democratic National Committee. In fact, even the Daily Beast had an article titled, "A Landslide in Lindsey Graham's Backyard." While Graham's backyard could be construed as anywhere in the state since he covers the state, the man does hail from the solidly Republican upstate region where someone like Scott could not win. Scott is 24, making him one of the youngest members of the General Assembly, but this again does not signal a major shift in the tea leaves or the state as a whole. This is one district, it's solidly Democrat, and one, like we said, was redrawn this way. Democrats should be jubilant for retaining a seat by such margins, but the minority party now just retains its 36 members in the House to the Republicans' supermajority of 88. But this win is truly more of a testament to the work Scott and his team put into the race. So while relishing a win is all very well and good, flipping districts Democrats have lost over the past two cycles would be an actual indicator of changes afoot. So wake me up when November 2026 comes for that one, folks. Until then, welcome to the State House, Keyshawn. Now, I was on Interstate 20 this week because I was venturing across our fair state to a little place called the Grand Strand. So I went from lizard man territory to gray man territory, folks. Yes, this is a huge cross-promotion for South of Spooky. Check out our podcast if you're on the road, folks. It's 2.5 years old. It still hits. But the Grand Strand is also home to the Gay Dolphin, Broadway at the Beach, and the only Hard Rock Cafe in our state. Also miles of beautiful seashore, and of course, Myrtle Beach, America's playground. It is also one of the biggest Republican strongholds in the state. But political ideology isn't the only thing the area is competing with the upstate on. It's also one of the fastest growing areas, not just in our state, but the country. How about that? Hashtag yeah, that Greenville. I don't know why I keep picking fights with Greenville. I'm waiting for someone to call, please. And you can see it when you're driving around just how much growth is going on there. Even before getting to the coast, there is so much development and sprawl. That's because the Myrtle Beach area is a prime target for northern blue-collar retirees who bring not just their pensions, but their politics with them to a more affordable coastal living space, compared to further down the coast like your Georgetowns, your Charlestons, Kiowas, Bluffdons, and of course your Hilton Heads. Now, those destinations skew a bit more white-collar, northern moderate Republican and Democratic retirees in the how many gates do you live behind crowd. Me? 3 if you're wondering.
3?
I'm safe. But it's not all northerners. There are also some Midwesterners. I guess Ohioans are Midwestern. That was always a debate when I lived there for 6 years. Not really a brag. But in the Grand Strand on Tuesday, Lieutenant Governor Pam Evette, an Ohio native, who has called South Carolina home for more than 20 years, was participating in a town hall hosted by America's Future Trust and the Republican State Leadership Committee. More than 150 people packed into Veterans Cafe and Grill, where the walls were adorned with military memorabilia and model airplanes hung from the ceiling of the diner. Me, I was sardined in there with 3 other reporters and several camera guys with high-end cameras who are undoubtedly getting video for future campaign ads. More on that in a minute, because Evette has not announced her gubernatorial bid yet, but is in a bit of a warm-up phase here, like everyone else, right?
Yes.
Testing the waters, seeing if people like the words that she's saying. But for 45 minutes, she fielded a variety of pre-selected questions by moderator and former lieutenant governor turned radio show host Ken Ard, including this one about bringing the state income tax to 0, which is a major challenge. You will remember that from this past legislative session.
Well, let me tell you, I'll be very clear. We can do it, and we will do it. We will get South Carolina to a 0 state income tax. We are U-Haul's #1 drop-off state, right? We are. The secret's out, people. I can't turn on the close sign. We do not have that here in our state. But, we are now competing against other states. Tennessee, Florida, Texas. They've done it. We can do it. We're going to do it in a few ways. We're going to implement DOGE here in South Carolina. When I mean DOGE, I don't mean, go ahead, we should clap for DOGE. We should clap for efficiency. I mean, leveraging technology, making sure we're being efficient, right? We're never going to hire enough people to outpace the growth we have in our state. So we got to do this. And when we do that, we're going to save money. Everybody knows. You know it in your own house, right? If you do things more efficient, there's more money at the end of the month. That's what we have to do. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can cut taxes and be more efficient. And we got to take a really broad, comprehensive look at taxes in general, right? And I'm gonna say this because sometimes I think we don't read the body of the stories as much as we read the headlines, right? But if I had $1 for every person that told me, I want our tax structure to be just like North Carolina. Their percentage is low. I like it. Why aren't we doing that? Well, the first bill that was dropped pretty much mirrored North Carolina's tax structure, and nobody wanted it. So what I say is be careful what you wish for, right? Because you just may get it. We are going to do this. We're going to put our heads together. The governor and I have asked for that for years. I feel a lot of momentum in the State House to get it done. I think everybody's going to get creative during the summer, during break. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about it and how we get there. But I do want to point out that in the last now this is the third legislative season, we have cut your taxes. These are the biggest tax cuts we have ever seen in South Carolina, and they've happened, and they're going to continue to go.
Just a fun fact, I have been on Ken Ard's radio show back when I was in Florence.
Whoa!
But Evette became the first female Republican lieutenant governor when Governor Henry McMaster asked her to join his ticket in 2018. Prior to that election, lieutenant governors like McMaster and Ard ran separately from the top of the ticket until that law was changed. McMaster plucked Evette, an upstate businesswoman and accountant who grew her business with her husband David, out of relative obscurity at the time. Now, over the past 7 years, Evette, who had never held elected office before, learned the inner workings of state government and has been at the center of major moments and connected with powerful politicians like President Donald Trump. She's attended the conventions and visited the White House. She mentioned talking with Vice President J.D. Vance and Energy Secretary Lee Zeldin at the Nucor steel plant in Berkeley early last month, and she's continued to hammer on the need for more energy in the state.
President Trump has talked about unleashing the power of energy, right? That's become a national security issue to this country. And so when President Trump was here for the Palmetto Bowl, I happened to be with him, and this is when he was running. And I said to the president, I said, Mr. President, I talk to great conservatives all the time around our state, and they want to know, what are you going to do on day one? What are you going to do on day two? He said, let me tell you, on day one, I'm going to close down our southern border. Nobody's getting into this country. He said, and number two, we're going to drill, baby, drill. We need to make sure that we could produce energy to keep moving, right? We saw what happened in Germany. The Green Party got control of Germany. They got rid of all the nuclear. And then what happened? Germany's GDP dropped, first time in German history, because energy has to be affordable and reliable. So this year, the General Assembly, listening to businesses, right? Because 2 years ago, we almost had a rolling blackout here in our state. And they said, we have to deal with energy. Energy has to be on top of mind for everybody. We have to get base load up. So we're working with those same federal principles to say, if we want to keep growing, if you want your energy bills to stay affordable and reliable, then we got to put forth our best foot with energy, and that's what President Trump is doing.
She also casually mentioned that 6 more nuclear reactors could be built in our state, which is home to 7 already that are operating at 100%. Despite those 7 years of being a statewide office holder and being a part of 2 campaigns, name recognition is still lagging for Evette, compared to potential candidates like Congresswoman Nancy Mace and Attorney General Alan Wilson. But that is something that an upcoming gubernatorial campaign and subsequent media coverage will help with, especially as she has the ability to pseudo-campaign while fulfilling her role as lieutenant governor at events across the state. Now, I asked her after the event what kind of temperament and leadership style she embodies.
So, as we talked about here tonight, right, the bully pulpit is a huge part of what the governor can do. And making sure that you can work with the General Assembly, making sure that you can, convey your ideas to them. We've been very successful about that. We've seen it 7 years in a row on budgets and how much our executive budget has meant to the General Assembly and how many wins we've had in that. So I just think we have had great wins with this type of style. I think it's a great style. It shows that it works well.
So we're talking about the honey versus vinegar approach here, a major Supreme Court decision. I also asked Evette about attacks made by Mace, including those that targeted her being a transplant from Ohio, even though Mace herself was born in North Carolina, and what that means considering the influx of people to our state.
Well, what I say to that is I've been here for over 20 years. I built my business here. I've raised my children here. I left a thriving business to serve the people of South Carolina. I think this far in, I've earned my palmetto tree.
The primary is next June, and Evette said a decision on when she'll run will be forthcoming. Cristobal says, please don't do it the last week of June. I will be in the Outer Banks. Moving on to the economic portion of our podcast. No cryptids or monsters can apply to this section. But if you're wondering about the fallout of the herky-jerky implementation and then backtracking of tariffs by the Trump administration, well, the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond has you covered. Research economists for the district bank, of which the Carolinas are a part of, found in their May business surveys that 72% of business respondents made changes in response to tariffs on imports. Of the firms that reported adjusting, most have or plan to increase prices. 47% have canceled or delayed capital expenditures, and 41% have adjusted hiring plans. Remember these figures for the next portion of this econ section. You will remember them. Also, you will remember that high prices and inflation were the major issues in the 2024 election, and we are still talking about them as the economy and now the jobs market cools. Now, a South Carolina transportation equipment manufacturer described their situation to economists by saying, quote, the high levels of uncertainty created by tariffs have caused our business to control things we can control. We're talking radical cuts to available capital, hiring freezes, layoffs, increased prices to customers without long-term agreements, and prepare to shift resources to tariff responses. Quote, And we saw hiccups at that Volvo production facility in Ridgeville the other day when the major EV automaker briefly suspended production due to a supply chain issue. What is that? Who knows? But there was a major crack this week that formed on Thursday when AESC, an electric car battery maker, said it is pausing construction on the company's $1.6 billion facility in Florence County. That's a huge economic development project. Mayan Schechter reported that AESC cited policy and market uncertainty for the pause. Read tariffs. Read big, beautiful bill issues. The Japanese manufacturer's announcement comes as the Trump administration pushes and implements higher tariffs, and the budget reconciliation bill in Congress, known as the Big Beautiful Bill, the mega bill around here, seeks to end electric vehicle tax credits. You may also read into this as kind of the blow-up that happened this week between the world's richest man and the world's most powerful man over EV credits, and then some other things. Things are happening. But AESC spokesman Brad Grantham said in a statement sent to the media, quote, AESC has invested over $1 billion in the Florence facility, and we anticipate being able to resume construction once circumstances stabilize. AESC fully intends to meet our commitments to invest $1.6 billion and create 1,600 jobs in the coming years. Quote, coming years, circumstances stabilize. We're talking about parking $1 billion in the ground in Florence right now. Now, the battery cells that will be made at this plant will be used for BMW's high-voltage battery plant in Woodruff. BMW Manufacturing said the company has already invested $700 million into that plant, which is expected to start assembling cars next year. We're in a weird spot here, folks. A lot of money up in the air. So you got the Republican 7th Congressional District connected to the Republican 4th Congressional District, which both of those congressmen, Russell Fry and William Timmons respectively, voting for the bill that acts these incentives. So I'd say call your congressman if you have any questions about this. But Mayan got State Representative Roger Kirby, who is a Democrat from Lake City in Florence County, who is also the assistant minority leader in the House and the first vice chair for the state Democratic Party, on the line. And he said this.
They were talking about employing, 3,000, 3,500 people at this facility, which would directly in employment for all of this whole region, including Williamsburg County, Florence County, Marion, Dillon, all around the PD region. This is something we've been in anticipation, waiting on, just very excited about since it was originally announced. And they've already got $1 billion on the ground over there, and not including the investments that the county and the state's made for infrastructure and that type thing for them to come. So, yeah, this is a gut punch. That's as simple as I know to put it. And it's just an unforced error that really is just, there's no reasoning for it.
Kirby is putting the onus of this on the shoulders of Republican Senators Graham and Scott.
It'll be really incumbent now on Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott to step up to the plate on this issue, and because this is going to have impact, I would think, Mayan, across the state with all of the EV technology stuff we got going on. You know how much development we've had announced in the past few years, and so much of it revolved around battery technology. The whole solar. This is very far-reaching.
Governor McMaster responded to reporters' questions about the situation, saying that a pause is okay and that he will be working with the federal delegation members on the matter.
We hate to see that happen, to pause, but a pause is okay. We've had Volvo pause for a little while, not long ago. There is a lot of uncertainty in the reconciliation bill, whether various tax credits will still be in there or incentives. There, of course, with the tariffs are going up and down, and some of those are being paused. I would, what we're doing is we just are urging caution, let things play out, because all of these changes are taking place. And I think that the goal of the president and the administration is to have robust economic growth and prosperity. And there's no doubt that there have to be some changes made in our international trade posture, and President Trump is addressing that. But I would say that we've seen this before, and our state is just booming. Other states over the last few years have been slowing down, But South Carolina, despite all the ups and downs, is still going up, up, up. And that's a good thing. So I'd say relax if you can. We are in contact with our federal delegation, as well as the White House and all and AESC and everybody involved, Department of Commerce. And we believe that give it some time and it'll work out.
Elections have consequences, and this would be one of them. We'll see what happens in the Senate, where there is a good bit of dissent over this bill, and Majority Leader John Thune is juggling concerns of his 53-member majority, who again have concerns over cuts to Medicaid, state and local tax deductions, and more. This is a massive bill, a mega bill. Mega. And it's a situation that Senator Graham wanted to avoid back in February. He wanted 2 separate bills, not what the House wanted. Now, a lot of political capital is being expended here for a bill that could be Trump's only major legislative victory if it actually gets to him in one piece. The Congressional Budget Office said this week that the House bill would remove 11 million Americans from Medicaid. It would cut $267 billion from SNAP benefits. The bill would also limit states' ability to regulate AI for a decade, which is an eternity in AI time. It would also add $2.4 trillion to the deficit, which makes it kind of hard to call yourself fiscally conservative. Then you have Elon Musk blasting the bill all week for a variety of reasons, including these EV credits, as well as the president involved in unprecedented public infighting that is creating political and economic reverberations that will be playing out for years to come. So you guys will know more before I do if you're watching Twitter and Truth Social, neither of which I am on. I'm on Blue Sky. Find me there. None of the good stuff makes it onto Blue Sky. He has to screen grab and send it to me. You're just like cutting out the newspaper article and sending it to me in the mail. Did you see this? Yes, I got it on Instagram. Welcome to the wind down section, our little break from the news. We're glad you're here, along with A.T. Shire, lead podcast.
Hello, everyone. Hello. So happy for you to be hearing me
now.
Yeah.
A.T.
Yes.
I don't know how to tell you. I've already told you, but I'm going to tell you again.
For the purpose of the pod, first time you're telling me. I'll react as such.
I hope you don't take this the wrong way during this month, but I have something I need to tell you.
Yeah.
I was shopping the other day, and I bought whole milk for no other reason other than pseudoscience influencing me.
What got you here? What did you see? What did you see that pushed you over the edge?
I don't know. It's been years. I couldn't tell you the last time I bought milk just to have, besides like maybe for a recipe for biscuits, which I've become part biscuit recently.
Have you been feeling like soft bones and teeth?
Yeah, the teeth have become feeble.
Bouncy?
I've always had bird bones, avian bones.
Yeah, Gavin, he'll float away in a big gust.
You can't squeeze me too hard.
No.
But no, I don't know. I always make my protein shakes because it's part of my slop. It's my different slop.
Yeah.
But instead of using water, I'm like, maybe I want to give it a little bit more. I eat some body.
A lot of body.
I do the non-fat Greek yogurt instead of the whole milk Greek yogurt because you save the calories.
You should really just go whole.
I know.
It's so much better.
But I'm adding all these calories now, and I'm like, what am I doing? But I will tell you, having the jug of milk in the fridge.
What did you see? What did you see that you were like, I need this?
I was shopping. I'm like, maybe I can just. Egg prices have dropped.
Yeah.
So we're celebrating.
I never stopped. I'm going to say I never stopped.
I also pivoted. I pivoted to the brown eggs now, so I'm not even buying those ones.
Brown eggs are the best eggs.
I know.
Anyway.
I'm doing it. I'm leaning in.
Hey, I'm doing it.
I'm becoming a yuppie, but now I'm not doing whole milk out of the glass bottle. I'm not that much of a yuppie.
I love this for you. You and Rena are at the same place. Rena's taking whole milk
I'm
now.
on a baby diet.
Yeah, yeah, that's good for you.
So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't noticed any changes. But I like to open the fridge, see the jug, and just take a swig out of it, knowing I'm the only one drinking out of that milk
jug. You want it to be like, you
Maybe
really
I'm
like the
nostalgic.
backwash at the end?
Oh, who cares?
Have you started
Someone who
eating
cares.
solids like Rena?
Why would I do that? Let's not get crazy. If it's not in a slop bowl or my feed bag, I'm not doing it. No.
I'm not doing it.
We'll see if it sticks. I don't know.
I can't wait for what's next.
Just whole
for
milk.
you.
It's pasteurized, folks. I'm not going raw.
Pasteurized, yeah.
Give it another 6 months till I'm like, hey, do you guys have a plug for raw milk?
I can't explain to you the absolute schadenfreude I feel when someone drinks just like one great big swig of raw milk and then like has to take the rest of the day off because they feel bad for some other reason, you know?
That's not related
It's
to the raw
not
milk.
related to the raw milk that I drank.
It's I'm going to say that cold gulp of milk is equivalent to a ice cold Coke. And I think,
don't know. That feels like a real false equivalency to me.
No, it's full. I'm going full here. I'm
I
not
think
doing
there are-
2%. I'm going full Coke,
I think
full
there
milk.
are actually people who do Coke milk. I'm not joking on
I
that.
can see that.
I do.
In fact, stay tuned for Tuesday's pod, folks.
We're doing Coke milks, okay?
I feel like that's based in Utah, perhaps. They have their soda shops.
It's giving Mormon.
I really don't know much about that, but
Swig.
so we'll see what other pseudoscience I'm about to buy into.
I
I told you Meg is getting me off Celsius now because there's taurine in it.
Yeah,
taurine.
taurine was promised as having some benefit, and it has zero benefit.
The benefit of it is to increase your risk of leukemia, apparently.
Oh, wow.
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah, that's the recent bombshell report. So
Okay.
I'll just drink my whole milk under my red light, and I'll be happy.
I got to say, this is going to be tough for listeners because we did have a winner on Who What When, the quiz show, who, when he won his fanny pack,
What?
he said he gave you a shout out.
Shout out.
Oh, yeah?
And he said, oh, well, I hope it holds a Celsius because if I ever meet Gavin Jackson, I want to give him a Celsius. So your name is quite synonymous with the
Jesus.
product of Celsius, I
God,
got to
so
say.
I'm going to have to get cancer for
Well,
this.
now, winners, listeners, just carry around just a bag of milk. I don't know. some milk product.
pouch?
As a lactose intolerant man, as someone who has never had a
Go ahead.
glass of
Sick.
milk.
Oh, come
I've
on.
never had one in my life. I've never dipped an Oreo in milk.
Oh, it
I've never
explains so much.
Never had chocolate milk in my
Why
life.
not just do it when you're doing your pizza binge?
For a glass of milk?
But if you're already eating pizza, throw in some milk.
Just the optics of slugging down a glass of milk is a little disgusting and off-putting to me.
Well, we grew up with the Got Milk campaign, so I think it's not that disgusting.
I mean, I think at this point we can call that pro-milk propaganda. Right? Yeah, I think it's pro-milk propaganda.
I'm just trying to get back to my youth.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's where I'm at right now since I'm almost 40, a year
Make
away.
Gavin healthy again. We're going to leave it at that, folks. We're going to leave it with, I want you to have that mental image of Gavin slugging down milk.
I'm outside.
Last thing
looking at the
hear
sun
for the whole
grounding
weekend.
myself with my red light.
He's touching
drinking,
grass. He's touching grass.
drinking my whole milk.
Yeah, out the jug.
What I'm missing, I don't know. Tell me what I'm
Aspirationally out of glass. Not yet. But anyway, folks.
You laugh now. You'll see. You'll all see.
Have a good weekend. I can't wait till Gavin
Gosh, my
tries
nails are growing exponentially
to try
already.
to compost glass. I can't wait for that. Anyway, have a good weekend, folks. Gavin, do the outro.
Okay, folks, let us know your favorite pseudoscience. None of this is an endorsement, please. We don't support pseudoscience here, just the facts. But you can leave us a message at 803-563-7169. You will get on the pod, and almost, well, maybe. We'll see. You can also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Give us those 5 stars. We love that, too. You can stay up to date with the latest news on SCETV.org and SouthCarolinaPublicRadio.org, which is where you can find the RSVP for our live lead taping in Aiken on June 12th at 6 p.m. at Good Girl Brewing. And don't forget to support your local newspapers. The South Carolina Lead is a production of South Carolina Public Radio. Our producer is A.T. Shire. Amy Crouch is our supervising producer. Sean Birch is our executive producer. This podcast is produced with support from PRX and is made possible in part by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, as well as listener contributions to the ETV Endowment of South Carolina. For the South Carolina Lead, I'm Gavin Jackson. Be well, South Carolina. Crocs? Sure, you're already leaning into just being a degenerate.
Yeah, you're already off.
Socks and the closed-toed Birkenstock,
Closed-toe Birkenstock in itself is worse than a Croc.